Hey everybody, it's Sam here again. I'm in the middle of an axle replacement on an e500 all-wheel drive 4matic. It's an '04, same one I did the SBC work on. It's my car. Anyways, I ran into some hiccups and found some interesting tricks, and I wanted to share them with you guys real quick. Let me tell you what I did to get to where I am and what I found. So here's the new axle that I'm going to be putting in. Got it for like 60 bucks. And here's the old one coming out. It has a bad boot. You can see the boot's torn and it was starting to spray grease. It actually is savable if I wanted to replace the boot on it, but for 60 bucks, I'm just going to skip the hassle of replacing the boot and put a whole new one in there. If anybody's wondering, I got it from Advanced Auto Parts. I found it elsewhere online for like 85 or something, and then I got Advanced Auto Parts to do a price match to that, and on top of their price match, then I used a coupon code for like 25% off, and I had some speed perks. So all said and done, 60 bucks and a little bit of work. So here's what I did to get to where I am now. First thing is you want to get the suspension apart here, and you want to try to do it in a way that you don't have to get in alignment. I think I'm going to be okay. I haven't unbolted anything tied to alignment, I don't believe, but we'll see. I'll go get it checked afterwards. Now you may notice I have the caliper pulled and the brake line pinched here. That's not the best thing to do to a brake line, but I'm actually going to be replacing that brake line, so I don't care. You can actually use the long nose vice grips and then cover each end of the grip with another hose and then pinch with that, so it's not as traumatic on the hose. But I don't care because I'm replacing this hose anyways. This vehicle is going through Maryland inspection. There was a list of things they wanted me to fix. One was the leaking boot. The other was they didn't like the front brake lines. They want them replaced. So that line's going anyway, so I didn't care. I just pinched it off, and I had the caliper out of the way. It was easier for me to just remove it since the brake line's coming off anyways. So here's what I did to get to where I am now. I'm going to give you the highlights because there's lots of videos out there about how to remove axles, CV boots, joints, and so forth. But I'm going to give you what's important in this car. So the first trick is, this is on a lot of videos out there. You jack up the vehicle, then you remove the center cap from the wheel, you put it back down on the ground, and then that's how you get the axle nut out. Now you'll see our axle nuts on these vehicles are actually axle bolts, not nuts. So first question is, what size is this bolt? It is a 27 millimeter. If I go by memory here, I had to buy a set of, let's see, yeah, 27. Let me check. Yep, okay. So, first question is, this axle bolt, once you put the vehicle back down on the ground, it's going to be visible like that. You're going to loosen that up with a breaker bar. I use that one there. And I actually took the end off of my jack and I used it on top of the breaker bar for even more leverage, and it will come loose. It turns the normal way a normal bolt does, so don't be afraid if you're really putting some pressure on it. So to loosen it is counterclockwise, 27 millimeter. Once you've got that loose, you can bring the car back up in the air. At that point, when it goes back up in the air, take off the wheel, take off the brake caliper, rotors. I had a problem with my rotor taking that off. That's why you see some other items out here like my torch and my drill. Basically, you guys are familiar, if you've gotten this far, hopefully, with your brake rotors, but or if you're contemplating this job, basically you have a little screw right here. That screw was stripped. So I saw a video online that said when you strip that screw, what you can do is you get a drill bit bigger than the hole. I'll show you this trick real quick too, since it was a lifesaver for me. You get a drill bit bigger than the hole. You can see this is bigger, and this bit size is 27. Well, it's not going to focus for you here. Let's see. 27. Anyways, it's a 27/64 bit. Okay? And what you do is you drill down till you hit the rotor, and what's going to happen is once you get to that point, the head of the screw is actually going to come off on to the I'm trying to find the head of the screw here. I think I threw it. Well, anyways, it's going to look like a little donut. It's going to be stuck around your drill bit. As soon as you do that, you stop. And that screw is no longer holding the rotor on. So you just take off the rotor the way you normally would. What I do to take off a rotor, if I'm not going to reuse it, is I just hit it with a big ass hammer. Hit it a few times with a hammer, it will fall off. Go around the outside of the rotor. As long as you've got that screw gone, if you wax with a hammer, the rotor's going to come right off. Anyways, okay, so you got your rotor out of your way. You take your calipers off, you get that out of the way. What you can do is zip tie it up to here, up here out of the way. But if you don't want to go into the brake line, for me it was much easier to have it out of the way. So you could pinch the line off, but it's probably more work than you need to do for yourself. So anyways, you get the brake stuff, the rotor, that's all out of the way. Next step is you got to get your ball joint loose, this right here. And here is what you do to get that loose without destroying it. You start by unscrewing it. I think this is the screw here for it. Yep, okay. So you unscrew the ball joint, and leave the screw. I mean, unbolt the nut from the ball joint. Trying to get it on here, and you leave it. Well, it's not working for me, but anyways. So it's going to be like this, except it's going to be the ball joint's going to be through it. So leave it so you've got a gap. So it's just at the top of this ball joint, okay? You leave it up here. I hope you guys can see that. Leave it so it's like, you know, just to the top of the ball joint. So then you take your jack and you get a little pressure on the suspension. Let me show you what you do here. So I'm going to jack this back up. I'm going to at least show you where to jack it. Okay, so you take your jack and you jack it right there. Okay, so you can see you're right there, just on the edge of where the ball joint is. So keep in mind, this ball joint is coming from the bottom and the head is through here. So what you're going to do, you get some pressure on it. You don't want enough pressure that the vehicle is coming off of the jack stands, but you're going to see the suspension is going to compress a little bit, so that you've got some weight from the car on this arm. And the ball joint, of course, is down here, and the ball joint, so basically the weight of the car is pulling this arm off of the ball joint. But don't get crazy with it. And then, while you've got that weight there, take your hammer. Oh, and I'm sorry, also I forgot, in order to be able to pull all this off, you're gonna have to remove your dust shield too. They're 8mm, there's 3 of them. That has to come out of the way. Okay? Now, this is the best way to do this because it doesn't damage your ball joint. If you use those pickles, those forks, all that other crap, your ball joint's gonna go bad. You think it'll work, it won't. Okay, there are some special tools out there. Maybe you can get away with those, I don't know. But this way works and it doesn't damage your ball joint. So once you've got the pressure from the vehicle pulling the ball joint in one direction and your jack pushing the suspension in the other direction, just take a few whacks with a hammer right on the side here. Okay? Don't have to go crazy, but some good strong whacks. And before you know it, that thing is going to pop loose and it's going to stop where the nut is. And when you do that, then you loosen your nut, you jack the thing up a little bit further so that you can get the ball joint out from underneath and pull the whole suspension out of the way. Ta-da! You haven't damaged your ball joint. I know it's a little scary to have jacks compressing your suspension and all the rest of that, but it works. Just be careful, move slow, and you'll be fine. So then you've got your ball joint out of the way. The next step is you're going to have this arm here for your sway bar is attached right here. You're going to want to unbolt that. Okay, once you unbolt that, this whole thing will move to the side. Okay, you should at that point be able to get this, should be sliding out from the back of the hub. If it doesn't come out of the back of the hub, you can hit it with the hammer a little bit, back the bolt out of it so you have something to hit, and hit it with the hammer and pop it through the hub. Make sure it's free, that it's not fighting you. If it's fighting you, there's videos online how to deal with that. I'm not going to get into it. You've got big problems if that's fighting you. It's not fun from what I've seen. Luckily, it didn't happen to me. Okay? So, you've got now this out of the way. You've got your axle free from the hub. The last step is you unbolt these 2 bolts underneath the shock, completely get them out of the way, okay? And then at the top of the shock, just loosen 1, 2, 3 bolts, or 3 nuts. Sorry guys, I've said screws instead of bolts and nuts instead of screws and whatever else. Just ignore that. I'm trying to rush through this. I didn't plan it all. I just want to share the information with you guys. Okay? Now, you've got all that out of the way. You're going to have an axle that's basically loose on one end and in between this fork. Now, you can wiggle it and let me move this out of the way. We don't need it anymore. You can wiggle it, you mess around with it, you'll be able to work it through, right through here, and your axle is free, okay? The only thing that's holding it in now is you have this end is in the transmission. Now here's what you do here, guys. I've seen videos about different things. I saw one thing online that said you take one of these muffler clamps, a 3-inch muffler clamp, and you can put it around the end of this and then find a way to pry on it. The problem is I couldn't even get in there to get the muffler clamp on it. So here's what I noticed. I climbed underneath. Oh, and you got to take the cover, the engine cover off the bottom too, or you're wasting your time. I mean, you can't get anything done with that on there. That's got to come off. So you take that off, and then you're gonna, Well, here's what I'm going to do. First, I'm going to tell you what I did. And then, and this was so easy, I couldn't believe it. Okay? And then I'm going to try to show you. So if you get underneath the car and look up, you're going to see, picture you're under the car, and you're going to see just the bottom of this thing. You're going to be looking kind of like at this angle. You're going to see this end of it, and you're going to see the transmission right around here. Well, what you do, guys, instead of doing all that hassle, you take a pry bar like this that has this angle on the end, and you get under the car, and you put the pry bar like that, and this part will be where you are, and you just hit the end with a hammer, and it pops it right off. No issues. It popped right out of the transmission. I mean, I was thinking that I was going to be in for hours of issues and problems. This was the biggest thing about the job that I was worried about, and instead I knocked it out in 2 seconds. So let me try to show you under the car now. I don't know how this is going to come out, guys. We'll see. Let me try to show you here. Okay, so here's, no, you guys, it's not going to come out. Anyways, if you're under the car, you're going to see just in this area where the axle was. I'm sorry I don't have a flashlight, guys. I apologize. I wasn't prepared for this. I just want to share the info, like I said. Anyways, but if you get this far with it, it'll make sense when you get under there, I promise. You're going to be looking up. You're going to see the back of this thing. All you do is you put your pry bar up against it at this angle, okay? So when it's getting the pressure, it's going like that. And you just hit it with a hammer from the back, and it pops right out. So easy. Now, what's left? Put it all back together the way you got it, okay? Watch some other videos about how to do axles too, so you get the more important info. I wanted to share with you the tricks and the most important things that apply to this vehicle that I figured out. The other thing that I'm sharing, oh shoot, I got my finger in the way. I'm sorry, guys. My new axle came with some nut, with some bolt. It's a different size head. I'm going with the same one that Mercedes. It's a 10.9 bolt. This thing will be good longer than humans would be on Earth, so I'm pretty sure that bolt's fine. I'm not using the one that came with this axle. It fits fine. It's threaded right in the same way the other one did. Also, I put a little bit of grease in this end. It wasn't greased. This end is greased. I had some brake grease up to 600 degrees. That should be fine. I just want to keep anything from getting corroded in there. It's not going to hurt anything. It's probably not going to help anything. The last thing is, I don't have enough light to show you guys, but you know what? I might have a light in my toolbox here. Hold on, guys. I really want to try to show you. Here we go. If the battery's not dead on this thing. No, it's dead. Sorry. Well, if you get this far, you'll figure it out. Anyways, the last thing I'm going to check, I got to get a light to do that, is make sure, I believe there's a little a little C catch around the edge of the transmission there. I wish you guys could see better, but I just got to make sure that thing's okay. And then basically you just slide the new one in, and it should make a little click noise. It catches on the inside, and then you just put it back together. I'm gonna go get my alignment checked afterwards, but like I said, I don't think I did anything to need an alignment. So there's places do free alignment checks, so I'll just do a free one, and just for my own sanity. But if you guys undertake this job to do this, you probably get it done in 3 or 4 hours, I would say. I've been out here a lot longer because I had the issues with my brakes, with my rotor locking up on me, and screw and everything else. So, all right, good luck, guys. Take care. I'm gonna get you a little bit, some follow-up information too on what went down with the SBC stuff, but that's gonna be another vid. All right, take care, guys. Bye.